sit back, have a play. I'm a gobby git. Sometimes I can be a bit like Marmite. You either love me or you hate me.
Oh, what's occurring?
Hi and welcome back to the channel. This video we're going to have a little chat with Covie Karl from Built Not Boat Campers and talk about his new show, which is Vanlife and Overlander Celebration, from the 27th to the 30th of July this year. This is at Newbury Showground, great venue for the event, just off the M4 at junction 13. Keep tuned in because we will be talking about or giving out the discount code for the event as well. Stay tuned. Welcome on board, Carl.
Good afternoon.
Got to ask you, the first question is, what is actually your last name?
Elliot.
Elliot.
Elliot. As in E. Elliot, phone home.
So tell us a bit about yourself, Carl.
Right. I haven't always been into camper vans. I actually got into it by mistake during COVID.
Okay.
So prior to that, I used to be in property, dealing with HMOs, property rentals, and I used to do different talks on that. I've done that for many, many years, and I loved it. But the problem is, like many jobs, it was heart attack material, very stressful, and my health has not been fantastic. Sort of during that, I had to evaluate my life a little bit and think what was most important. And to be honest with my health and me living a longer life was one of those things.
Yeah.
So I come out of that and I took a year out and I thought I wanted a camper van. And that was where it all started, really. So I travelled literally 4 or 5 hours to Bradford, picked up my first Iveco daily, got an hour back down the motorway for the clutch to go. Take it back for them to fix it and then go back up again to pick it up and bring it back. Now, I'd always planned to do it in about the June time, but because I found this particular van, this was February. So I started to build that out, and again, using, like everybody does, YouTube, following Greg Virgo, the likes of Martin from House Lost Not Homeless, and all those people, as everybody, well, most of us do. And I came up with a van, and my first actual get-together was a South Central self-build get-together.
Right.
Now, we turned up with the van, and the only thing in it was silver foil. It looked like a spaceship inside. I spent the day there, and it was the windiest day ever, down in the New Forest, middle of March, and that was where my journey began. So I built the van. My friends Zoe and Simon come on the scene. COVID hit. I was about to become a window cleaner.
When I'm cleaning windows.
I'd set up the business sort of in the December, got everything ready, and I was going to start it in the March, and they locked us down. So I thought, that's fine. When COVID's over, I'll start then. So I did a bit of work for my friends Zoe and Simon, and went to do some painting at their house, did some work in their office, and we got talking about camper vans, motorhomes. They'd always wanted one, but they didn't like the setup where you have to have a quick shower.
Right.
That was the main failing for them. That's the only reason they didn't go for it, because of the shower situation.
Yeah.
They both like shower. Me with my big mouth, I went, that's easy. Build a recirculating shower.
Right.
And going to do and been playing with. So after lots of discussions, they decided they was going to buy a van. During COVID, then they went from a van to a Luton box van, and they said, no, we're going to go to a 7.5 ton. Before I knew it, in the middle of COVID, we're driving all the way to Newcastle to pick up a 7.5 ton horse box to bring back down. So,
essential travel.
Yes, it was essential travel.
Yes, needed a house.
Yeah. So I started to strip it out of the back of their offices and realised very quickly we needed something undercover because winter was coming.
Yeah.
So units all over the place, and eventually because the height of the vehicle, to find a unit with a high door that could probably fit 1 or 2 vehicles in was really, really difficult. So we ended up with the big unit that we've got now. Just to give you a scope on the size of it, it's double eaves. We've got a 7.5 ton horse box in it. We got an old 6-ton VW Crafter airport bus, and I got my 6-ton RS bus in it, and there's still space, so it's huge.
Yeah.
And then it turned out that we decided we was going to buy and hire, sort of build them and hire them, because I'd been to Quirky at that point, just prior to COVID, but the business has shaped completely different. You know, it evolves. Everything evolves.
Yeah.
So business has gone from buying vehicles, rebuilding them, hiring them, to now we build them, sell them, we work on other people's. And again, the shows is a big thing for us. We got into the food side of it. We now do the vehicle upholstery. It's, you know, and we wanted to be that quirky sort of company that all our vans come out. I don't want to be carbon copies. Once you see my new bus, it gives you an idea of sort of how different it really is.
Right.
It was spoken already last June, and because obviously you have to earn money, you have to put money on food on the table. So that had to take a bit of a back seat. Get on with normal work, obviously health. It's a multitude of things. But now this back in the workshop, I've started on the horse box again, because the horse box sat there for 18 months.
Wow.
You know, other things take priority. The shows were a big thing for us.
Yeah.
And I went to the first Stratford show was just coming out of COVID, or right in the middle of COVID. There was allowing events to go on. So I turned up as a customer, and now I did a video. I put my drone up, and I was told to take my drone down because you need permission.
All right, yeah.
By a guy called John Jobs. And I did chuckle, I did laugh. Before I knew it, off the back of that video, Tom called me from the International Campervan Show.
Mm-hmm.
And he offered me the job as dispatch manager off the back of my video. And literally from then, it's just sort of snowballed. We decided to bring the food in, because I was providing marshals myself. Because we have our own marshal, I like to feed them. Okay, they get a free ticket. To me, you know, they do work hard. So I think if I can feed and water them as well as part of the deal, it's just that little bit extra. When I chatted to Tom, he said, would you feed our marshals? I've done a deal with him on the prices and everything. So that's how we got into the food side of it. And from the food side of it, it just, again, snowballed. A couple of weekends ago, it was the Vanlife Eats. And Mark offered me the sole catering rights for that a while ago, and to DJ as well, because I'd suggested what I think he needed to do with the food before. And I really didn't expect him to offer me that. So that was a massive success for us, huge success. I actually did some cooking myself.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Stir fries, so that went down really well. And the thing was, because with the food, we try and experiment a little bit. So we started to throw pulled pork into the mix. We do pulled pork in a bun, which is very popular. So the stir fries, it was chicken or vegetable. And somebody came up and said, can you do us a pulled pork stir fry? Right. So did one, and then we did a couple of others after that. It's like, where did that come from? But yeah, everything's got to be really, and also as part of Vanlife Eats, I was asked to be guest DJ.
Yeah.
So again, I'm a gobby git.
I haven't noticed that.
Well, I've got to say, Carl, we have seen a few clips on you and Neil from Urban Van Life, and it was absolutely brilliant. It was just a shame that we couldn't come that weekend.
Well, apparently we're going back next year, so I've been told. But yeah, that was, again, that turned out, it was almost like a little bit of an accident, really, because I said to Neil, one of the Stratford shows, I said, I'm DJing at Vanlife Eats, do you fancy doing a bit with me? And it was just literally a passing in the wind conversation. And literally a couple of months down the line, he'd forgotten about it, noticed a comment I posted. Well, in fact, Emma's wife did, and sort of tapped him up. He said, don't remember that. So before I knew it, everybody's called it a DJ battle. And I thought, where did that come from? So, but it went down an absolute storm. It really, really did. It, you know, the whole weekend was absolutely amazing. It really was.
Weather obviously helps as well. It was a cracking that weekend.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, David and I were working.
Oh,
I know.
But it's in the diary for next year. That's a definite.
no.
So when you said that your best that you're working on now, is it going to be finished by the time in 2 weeks?
No, the bus is going to be ready for next year.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
so what are you in? What are you in now then? What are you using now?
So again, going back to my old van again, I named it Covie.
Right. So that's where Covie comes from.
Oh, everybody wants to know why Covie. So if you take the letters from my Vico, swap them around, it spells Covie.
Yeah.
Ah, right.
That's where that came from. So again, early on in a show earlier in the year, about March, April time, it was a Sunday night, and I'd taken in this transit as part exchange, to do some work on. And to cut the long story short, he offered me a deal. Now, the deal was some cash, a car, and his van, his camper, for my van, and it was too good a deal to refuse. So I sold it way ahead than I should have done. But the transit I got, there was many dangerous bits around it, the electrics, the double front seat, and it wasn't good to use. But I worked out, I thought, so all I did, got it literally back in the workshop. As soon as mine had gone, because that was the Sunday, I was away in it, and he was coming to pick the van up on the Monday, day after. It was that quick. So we ended up taking the transit. I ended up putting a roof rack, solar panel, and an awning on it. Ripped the seat out and replaced it with a new one. Put new electrics in it, and it's usable. That's about it. It's usable.
And it's safe.
Safe, and it's usable. So, I had to put a tow bar on it so we could tow the food trailer. So it's a temporary fix until the bus is finished.
Right. Okay. So you're not full time, Carl?
Not yet, but on one of my videos I did put out that once the bus is done, I will be going full time.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
You're looking forward to
that? It's mixed emotions. It's excitement and terrified at the same sort of thing. And it's like, and it meets in the middle, and there's a big explosion inside me.
Yeah, I bet.
I mean, I learned early on, because my first one I built twice. I built the first one in 84 days to get to Quest. But right in the middle of that 84 days, I did have a hernia operation as well. But I realised, because I rushed it, it wasn't quite right. So I ripped it out and built it again sort of a year later. So it is one of those things, you don't rush these things. And Darren Thrower from South Central Self Build Get Together, he was the one that said to me, don't rush. And you know what? That's the best advice I got that I could ever give to anybody when building a van. Don't rush it. And also, when you're building a van, take it out. So even if you just got a mattress in it or you're half built, to try and realize what you need, you don't need, what suits you, before building it completely, because you might have to rebuild it again.
Yeah.
It's funny. People say to me, I see a lot of people buying motorhomes, and the biggest thing I heard is, when you buy a motorhome, you're buying basic vehicle. There's so much to get into how you. That's why I think a lot of people go down the self-build route, because they'll end up paying that for motorhome and still adding stuff to it.
Yeah.
Plus, the cost of motorhomes aren't cheap. They're not. Let's face it.
No, you're right there.
Would you say then that if you build your own, it's a lot cheaper than a motorhome?
Oh, totally, 100%.
Really?
So I suppose my bus here, I think it's as big as your motorhome, but when I think about all the electronics, like the Victron, because I'm going for 2 lithium Victron batteries, even everything that I've put into it is still come under, with the cost of the bus. Bear in mind, that's without labour, it's just what we do parts.
Yeah.
I suppose about 12 to 15,000.
Wow.
Is that all?
But there again, when I look at my bus, we paid for that and delivery about 3,000.
Right.
But I've had work done to it. I suppose about 7 grand it's cost me, but I still can't get one like that now for under 10 grand. Somebody I knew went and bought a van for 500 quid. he put £500 worth of materials in it and built himself a camper van.
Yeah.
Recycled materials, stuff that's been given to him.
Yeah.
In that van now for 3.5 years. I mean, there's a lot of van lifers out there that have gone through. I mean, like myself, I'm choosing to do it. I mean, a lot of people choose to do it, but there's a lot of people out there that have actually gone through hardships and they've ended up in the van through hardship.
Right.
Guy I met, split up with his missus, ended up sleeping in the back of his van, and it was his work van. And over time, he turned that work van into a camper van while he was living in it.
Wow.
Unbelievable. I mean, some of the stories I hear are, absolutely unreal.
Well, can I just say something? If I do divorce you and throw you out, you're not having a motor. I just
You'd be lost without me.
So what about the YouTube side of stuff then, Carl?
Right. So for years and years, even again, I've always wanted to do something on YouTube. Oh, that's going back, as long as I can remember. But it's about doing that first video and about getting it out there. And back then it was, what do I do it about? Even when I bought my camper and started building it, the content there alone was absolutely amazing. But did I do it? No, I didn't. This was the thing. And as I watched YouTubers, and when I went to Quirky and spoke to a few, I met Luke Vanlife at the South Central Cell Build get together, and it was like, and everybody said the same thing. If you don't put out your first video, you won't put nothing out.
Yeah.
And they said, don't worry about your first video being all polished up and looking good. It's going to be a bunch of bull. Believe me, a bunch of absolute bangs. Because we've been so busy lately, I haven't put no content out for about 4 or 5 weeks. I've got content there, but it's having the time to edit it and put it out. We've got 3 more events left to do, what I call big events of the year, for us. And once the second week of October kicks in, then it's sort of all hands on deck, back to normal sort of thing. But yeah, that it's a lot. It's very time consuming.
Oh, definitely. We want to enjoy as well as do YouTube, but YouTube's not going to rule our life.
I made the mistake there. I put too much pressure on myself, and I say a few weeks ago, I come to a sort of point I exhausted myself, putting myself under so much pressure. So the way I look at it now is, I will get the content. It will go back to weekly, but because I'm under pressure now to get the bus and the horse box done for next year,
plus the shows,
and the shows, so year on year, it's summer's busy for one reason, the winter's busy for another reason. And between me and the gatepost, I'm just actually starting another business.
Wow.
When I was younger, I worked on the doors, and we all were naughty, and I believe weren't so good then, but as I've got older, I've definitely mellowed, and I think I like to try and I believe in karma and a balance. So I think do good to receive good, and nothing to do with presents given to receive presents. It's about, I think I like to treat people how I like to be treated. And I have come across 1 or 2 people that have given me sort of grief, and believe me, when I'm at the shows and doing a job, I will dig my heels in. I will bend over backwards to help anybody. But straight away and bam, straight on me. I'll follow the book. I'll go by the book. By the code. At the end of the day, I won't bend my rule for that person at all. I'm not going to say who, but it came unstuck last time for somebody.
Come on.
They gave me an attitude, big attitude, on parking. Well, at the end of the show, she was after 2 of my chairs. Didn't realise it was me who was selling them. I drove over in my truck and I went, "Oh, hi." I said, "I thought I'd better come and clear the air." And she went, "Why is that?" I said, "I understand you're looking for those chairs." She went, "Yeah." I said, "Well, I'm selling them." She looked at me and went, "Oh, you." I don't like that bad feeling. So, if it is out there, I like to clear it. Again, sometimes I can be a bit like Marmite. You either love me or you hate me, because not everybody likes me, and everybody's different characters, and some characters don't mix.
We're a bit like that. Right, Carl, it's been lovely chatting with you. Thank you so much for taking some time to speak to us.
Brilliant. Thanks, pal.
And we look forward to seeing you at the next show.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
So I hope you enjoyed that video and know a little bit more about Karl, really. He's a great guy. So now what you've all been waiting for is the 10% discount code, which is WATTS, WATTS 10. So when you go through the booking form, there'll be a coupon there that you've got to enter. If you enter that, once you've booked your tickets or once you've entered what tickets you want, it'll automatically take the 10% off. So see you there. If you enjoyed that video, please give us a like, subscribe if you haven't already. It is free and it does help us grow our channel. And press that notification bell as well, so that you're notified of all our new videos that are coming out.
And if you're watching a video and you haven't subscribed, well, you can just
Oh, what's occurring?